This meeting to order, and we'll get going. Welcome, everybody. It's been a while since we've seen everybody's bright and shiny faces, so welcome back, and I guess jump right into new business.
Ash, I have something for new business.
Yep.
I want to thank you and Lewis for your time served. I know you guys are going off the commission right now, but I want to tell you from the city standpoint, we really appreciate the service that you did for this community, and thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Any other new business to?
Well,
to
if I can just add to what Colby said, I didn't know if this was the right spot or not, but I do appreciate the service that you have given to this community. And Lewis, I don't know if many people can come up to Lewis's record, everything from city council to these commissions and boards and stuff. He's been a very active citizen of this community to make it a better place, and I know that a lot of people appreciate that, what you do. I know a lot of people appreciate the time and effort that you have put in, and I think we're all better for it. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
A pleasure, I think.
I echo the sentiments. I guess we can move on to agenda item number 3 and the approval of minutes from our June 8th meeting. And if anybody has any corrections or changes, I guess we might as well go ahead and take care of those.
Move we approve the minutes as written.
All right.
I
approval.
second.
Second is made. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And minutes are approved. At this time, it's time for the citizens' communication, so I will ask that if there's anybody who would like to address the commission on any item that, in regards to the parks or to any of the items on the agenda, please move to the microphone at this time, and we'll limit you to 5 minutes to address the commission. And all right, seeing nobody moving to the microphone, we'll move to agenda item number 5 and items from commissioners. And I guess we can go around the table. I'll start with Mike. Anything that you've got for the commission?
Not really, except when we had the fundraiser for the dog park. I think we had a great turnout. I think everybody had a little something to do with it, and I think we had a great time. And I think the public that was there with us. Also, the other event that we had, also the street dance. It was a great success. The music was excellent. So,
yeah, if I could echo his sentiments also, I'd like to thank the commission for working and helping set the street dance, and the citizens who were able to attend our Bark for the Park event. So we're off the ground and running. So thanks again.
Yeah, I just the only feedback I got that might be construed as a negative on the Bark for the Park was it was hot.
Very much.
That
Yes.
was really it. But I mean, I think we had 40 some odd dogs walking, and I thought for a first event to raise awareness, it was a lot of fun, and I know the dogs had a lot of fun. Not sure about the people, but the dogs sure enjoyed themselves, from what I could tell.
I would say the same thing about the bark for the park. It was hot, but it looked like everyone was having a great time. I think that they were all glad to be there, and it is a good way to start off our campaign to do this. So I think it was good. And I have nothing else.
I just want to thank the Recreation Department for Movies in the Park. I participated this summer, and it was a great time. And the turnout, I was amazed. Just all ages. Popcorn's a great idea. I'm glad we're doing it in the fall.
I wanted to commend the Parks Department for all the work out at Grover's Bend. It really looks amazing out there. I know it looked quite sad after the flood, but it's back in shape, and there's lots of traffic out there during the week and on the weekends. Folks are going down there and acting like they're in New Braunfels or something, putting lawn chairs in the water with ice chests and barbecue pits, and it's a big family affair down there now, so that's really good to see.
And I'll echo Gail's sentiment a little bit with the river. I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook with the kayaks and even the new paddle boards that were available. So, I mean, a lot of people are being active in Riverside Park, and I think that's, attributable to all of the support from this commission and from your staff, Colby, in making the park a more attractive destination and the amenities that are in there. And I think that's probably one area in the 6 years that I've served in this commission that has really grown is the use of the river. And so,
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
if there's no other items from commissioners, we'll move into the departmental report. Lewis, anything?
Now, if I get started, I won't know when to stop. You know,
Go ahead.
I attended every Parks Commission meeting 11 years I was on the council, believe it or not. Then I served 6 years here, so that's a total of 17 years. And I have seen a lot change in the park system in 17 years. And Kobe, you've done an excellent job, and keep it up.
Thank you, sir.
And just to the fellow park commissioners, we have a tendency sometimes to want things done right away. Believe me, city government doesn't work that way, much less any government. So, be patient and just keep at it.
All right, we can move on to item 6 in the departmental reports and the director's report. Colby?
Chose to come up here. I've got a couple of slides that I want to show you, and then the next item is a presentation, so I'm going to just start from up here. The first thing I do, I know Ms. Repka mentioned we did open up Grover's Bend Saturday morning, the parking lot to that area. Now that we've got that area back as far as the gravel, or the granite gravel down in the parking lot, we'll start working on the trail that was washed out. Maybe a few changes that we saw as far as now that we know what the river's going to do as it comes up, and my staff during that flood took a lot of pictures. As far as we've got a chart now that says when the river hits 26 feet, it links up and shows us pictures of what it's doing. And so we feel like we have a real good idea of where we can go with that trail. It doesn't mean that it won't hit that area. That's why we chose to do granite gravel through that area, because it's relatively inexpensive to replace. But we'll start working on that part of it in the next few months once that mowing season hopefully slows down, where we can get some people more dedicated out there to clear that debris and get that trail back going. So hopefully by spring that'll be up and running again. But Grover's Bend is open, the parking lot, and so we did get one luck out of it. The flood brought a ton of sand to the beach area. I mean, it's amazing the amount of sand that's out there now. So that's a benefit, if anything. So. The next thing I wanted to let you know is that we're proceeding with the turf at the stadium. I will be taking that to council October the 6th for their approval to purchase. We've worked with UHV and VISD as far as making sure our timeline is doable for them. We feel like the contractor feels like he's got 45 to 50 days for that project to work. We've got about 90 days in there that we have scheduled where we don't have anything going on that we can use if there's weather delays or something of that nature. So we will be moving forward with that. I know that in the paper it talked about we may wait until after the general season was over. Worked with Ash more than the high school just because they started a little bit earlier, and he felt like that we'd be okay. And so that's where we're going on that project. So just so you may hear that at the next council meeting that it's hopefully being approved. The last thing I wanted to go over is for commissioners going out and for this commission, just to try to wrap up what the budget process looks like. By all means, we still have another council meeting tomorrow night, so this could change. I don't foresee that it will, but it could, and so this is not set in stone until tomorrow when they put their final stamp of approval on the budget and the tax rate. But this is what we're looking at for the 2015-2016 projects. This is not in any order of how we're going to be building or anything of that nature. My staff will work through, once the budget is approved, my staff will work through a process on how which projects we're going to do first and what order that we're going to do them in. No particular, some of them just depend on, when we're going to be having concrete or when the rest of my staff is available for like the restroom remodel or something of that nature. The children's parking lot, for example, that won't be done until, warmer months come along, just when they lay that down, that it's, it's not 35 degrees, 40 degrees when they put that down. So I wanted to give you guys this is a very, very exciting year for the Parks and Rec Department. We're going to be spending $3.2 million in infrastructure in the park system, and that's very exciting. That's not including our normal routine of $10,000 to $15,000 worth of picnic tables and barbecue grills and things to that nature. That is purely in infrastructure to our facilities, and I'm very, very excited about that. And so I'll go over any of these if you'd like. I'm not going to read them all out, but if you've got any questions on any of them, I think y'all seen this list. The only thing that has changed on this is with the floods, we decided to move Grover's Bend Playground and the work at the duck pond we were going to do to put the children's park parking lot into this year. We got a lot of flood, and that parking lot gets used a ton, and it looks like a minefield. And so we're going to replace that and push those other projects onto another budget year.
Playground has an asterisk, is that a?
The children's park playground has an asterisk. The city is contributing $150,000 to that project. We do have Challenge Athletes Dream. I'm sorry, I didn't get all the way down to the bottom here. Challenge Athletes are working towards hopefully matching that. I don't know that exact dollar figure yet. We'll start going into that. That's not a guarantee yet, but I didn't want to include that into the total price just because I don't know what their match is going to be, whether that's in kind of building the sidewalks or money. I'm not exactly sure what that total dollar figure is going to be just yet, Mr. Worden.
And the Riverside Stadium turf is out of hot funds?
Yes, ma'am, it sure is.
That's the only item on here that comes from that's going to be covered by hot funds?
Yes, ma'am. You do have the Community Center Park Playground, which is, and part of the splash pad, which is the CDBG grant. For the playground, that's the entire amount. And then I think it's 165, John, am I right on the yeah, it's 160, 170 on the splash pad.
Is that the total price on the splash pad?
That is not the total contract that we have out there, but that's what we are looking for in landscaping, infrastructure as far as lights and stuff. We don't know those dollar figures just yet, but that's what we've got budgeted for it.
Parking's already existing?
Yes, the parking is already existing. Where you have the loop, where you'd have the drop off to the pool, that's where the splash pad will be. Any other questions? All right. That's all I have as far as the director's report, unless you have any stuff for me. We're really just on, right now, maintenance. I'm doing our routine, trying to get done with mowings and stuff of that nature. In the late fall and early winter, we'll start working on some projects as far as clearing more brush and things to that nature, but it's just really a normal routine right now.
I've got a question on the that maintenance fund, or the budget for the maintenance. Does that include the old Riverside Convention Center remodeling being done for that area, or is that a separate?
That is not included in the 2015-2016 budget year. What we are doing is we had budgeted $75,000 for the demolition of the pool. We're leaving that as a line item right now, and right now I've got staff. We're working on electrical plans, lighting plans, and seeing what that dollar figure would cost. We're also taking once this budget gets approved, we'll go through and find out what exactly is the cost going to be to demo that pool. Can we put both those projects in there together, or do we have to separate them? And so right now I don't have anything budgeted for it, but that doesn't mean that it won't change.
Well, the reason I ask, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I noticed here where you have the list of the fees for different uses of different areas. I notice in one of them here it says the old Riverside Convention Center, a fee for the use of it.
Yeah, the demo has been done on that facility. It's cleaned up. We are going through. We just got finished removing all the fencing around it, and so, if someone wanted to have an event there that put a generator out or whatever on, it still could be used. It may not be used as a pavilion for say right now, but when we go in with our fees with this, and the next item that I'll get into
Right.
is that's one of the reasons that we've put that fee structure there, that it is a possibility. Doesn't mean that somebody couldn't do something with it. It may not be a pavilion at the community center park that somebody goes and rents for a birthday party, but it could be used if someone wanted to bring in a stage and tents and stuff to that nature. It could be a facility that's used. It's got parking lots fine on it, and the slab is just fine.
Colby, is it at next month's meeting when you'll release the prioritized projects of how you're going to try to do them?
I don't know that I'll have that exactly. We'll look through the projects as far as what we're going to be having to go out for architecture, services, things to that nature. Ms. Repka, I don't know that I'll have that exactly at that point. We'll start the process, but I don't know that we'll be done by next month. All right. Thanks, sir.
Move into committee reports and actions, and Colby, I know you've got a presentation on some proposed fee and policy changes.
Thank you, Ash. We've had a lot of requests for different areas to be used in relatively unique ways that we haven't been used to, and so the requests are coming more often, and I really don't have a policy or a fee structure to deal with that process. And we do have an event that's at Riverside that is a large event that blocks off a lot of the park, but we're getting requests for more of those in different areas of town, whether that's Tracy Park or different parts of Riverside. And so we felt like that we needed to come up with some policy and some fee structure to that. This will be taken to council, but we wanted to bring it to the commission to see if you guys see anything that we miss or see anything that stands out to you, and discuss that, and then hopefully get your recommendation to take this to council as you guys giving it your blessing. So I'll get started. By any means, please stop me at any point and ask questions. We can discuss. On the back side of your packet there, you do have the sheet that I emailed out to you as far as the kind of table of what we're calling each thing and what those fees are. Right now we have a special event deposit, and that deposit is $250. We're proposing that deposit go up to $500. I want to stress that this is a deposit. What we're noticing is that a lot of these larger events are coming in, they're using that, and basically as a cleanup service, is that they're not seeing that $250 is enough when they're charging for an event or when they're making money off of an event, that they need to worry about getting that money back. And so we're looking to bring it up to that $500 mark to see if that stops that practice. It's not with everybody, but it is happening. And so that's one of the things that we're suggesting to come up. I know that's a chunk, but it is refundable. Our finance department does a great job of getting that money back to the clients real fast. We go and inspect an event. I do have a weekend crew that works Saturdays and Sundays. They'll go inspect it. They let us know on Monday. We get it processed, and that check's in the mail by Thursday. And so it's a very quick process to get that back.
So are you talking about the special event center area?
Anything that is considered a special event. And we've gone away from just saying the special events area by itself because we only had one area that was rented. But any area that is, we may have events that want to do at a different part of the park, or they want to hold a 5K at Community Center Park, but we didn't have a fee associated with Community Center Park for a special event. And so in last year, we went forward and made the recommendation that we have a special event fee, and that was $150. And that way, we could charge that if someone wanted to have a 5K run somewhere else, or they wanted to have something besides at Riverside. And so that encompasses all of the special events that you possibly could have. There's no way to get on paper every single thing that somebody's thinking of. Does that make sense?
When you talk about all the areas, regardless if it's the area behind the community center,
The community center has its own fees, and you know, if it's in their building,
Outside the grounds area.
right, if you, say you were talking about where they hold the livestock arena, the carnival there,
yes.
that could be a special event area, or if you want to do something on the soccer fields there, that could be a
The
special
soccer
event.
field would be a $500 deposit, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Some of the definitions that we'll be using through this presentation, some of the changes that we're looking at is we're going to make some definitions for my staff to look at when someone's coming in to talk at an event, and to give you the process of how this works is I as a promoter or I as whoever comes in and I want to rent a facility to hold whatever event that I may be bringing, is I'm going to be directed by my front desk staff to one of my recreation coordinators, and we're going to walk through this process. That's what this back sheet of paper is for you, the policies there. That's for them to kind of look at, okay, what type of event are you having, how many people are you looking at, and what are you going to be doing at that event, so that we can direct you and direct a customer to the best possible location for us and the best possible location for that customer. So a public event is an event that's open to the general public. They're not blocking off streets, they're not charging admission, and they're not charging for parking. All right, so it's just an event that they're going to have. That may be a HEB fundraiser. That's not a good one. It may just be a regular fundraiser by whoever. It may be a tailgate party that Ash and them are having. There's a wide range of those types of events that are going to be going on. Any question that a 5K would be in that situation? They're not blocking the parking lot. They're not blocking. They may block a street for just a little bit, but they're not closing access to the park. A private event would be a event that blocks off the grassy area to the general public. They're not charging for admission. They're not charging for parking. And a great example of that is the HEB Family Fun Day that was a weekend or two ago down at Special Events area. They didn't block any streets. They didn't block the parking lot. Now, they did put up barricades around the special events area, and they had an officer there checking person's badge that they work for HEB going into. That's what I consider a private event. It's not for the general public to go through, but it's not closing the park down to the rest of the traffic going through it, or if someone wanted to walk from the new concession stand to the baseball field, they could. Does that make sense? Okay. The next event would be a private event with admissions. This is an event that's charging for admission. They're blocking off areas to the general public. They're charging for parking. They've got live entertainment and vendors. They're requiring our gang boxes. So you've got a lot more preparation from my department and a lot more infrastructure going into their event. They are closing off the areas that you can't go into that facility unless you're paying.
Are there a lot of those kind of events happening down there?
We're getting more and more of them, and that's where we're trying to get ahead of the curve and stop and before we have too much of an issue that it becomes a place that just is used for money-making events that close the rest of the park down for the community. And that's what we're trying to get ahead of. De Leon Plaza. Here's the current fees. Does not matter as far as it's $75 a day per day for events that last longer than 3 hours. And Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong. You can get it for $50 if it's less. If it's 2 hours. Okay. Here's what we're looking at going into a public event. Same thing. It's $150. It's going up to $150. All the deposits stay the same. A private event would be $300, and a private event with admissions would be $600. Any questions? Y'all ready for me to move on to the next one? Okay. At the Lee Tracy Amphitheater, right now you're looking at $100 per day on both events, both types of events, and we're going to $150 and $300. Notice that we are not allowing a private event with admissions in there. We are coming to the point where we're saying that Tracy Park does not need to be rented off as a private event that closes the park to the community. and that's different. But that's where we're going. In the point is we don't believe that a public park should be closed off to the community's access. Doesn't mean that you can't have a private type of event. It just means you can't close the entire park to the public.
When you rent, Tracy, do you rent the slab by the bathrooms, or do you also get the slab like where a stage would be?
Stacy, help me out with that one. Push a button.
Sorry. If you're wanting to do a special event where you would have music like a concert or something like that, you rent the amphitheater. We block off the pavilion also. That way you have access to both of those when you do rent the amphitheater. Or you can rent the pavilion for like birthday parties and things like that.
We do that so we don't have someone that's wanting to rent the amphitheater and then someone that rents the pavilion, and we've got a problem there. And so if you rent the amphitheater, it's included, the pavilion is included. Memorial Pavilion. Am I allowed over here? Memorial Pavilion, this is what we are currently calling the special events area. It just gave it a name. As the future, we were possibly looking at doing some different things down there. This is very similar to Tracy in a sense that you can have a public event and a private event for the same fees, but we are not allowing to be blocked off this area as well, as far as you can't close streets through it. Does that make sense? And one other thing that is on this that we'll be going through is that we will not allow the parking lot at Riverside Stadium to be rented from February to August. We've had some problems come through before when we've had playoff games, when we've had, I know Ash, for example, is gone to a new conference, the high school as far as UIL. If they have a cancellation on a Friday night because of rain, they have to play the next available day. And so what we're doing there is stopping that potential conflict of having to go through that. I believe that that parking lot was built for that stadium, and that's what we need to be. We have 120 games on that facility a year, and that parking lot needs to be open during those times.
Question on that. You talk about somebody rents the Memorial Special Event Area on a certain day during February to August. They cannot use the parking lot.
They can use the parking lot for parking. They cannot block the parking lot. So if they wanted to come up and park there, that is open parking to the
Right.
general public. They
Right, but-
cannot block the parking lot.
Okay, but the problem has been there in the past is when they have playoffs, you have a certain event and all the parking lot is full, and the people that are coming from out of town and even local people have to park way far and be transported to the baseball diamond. For
Yeah,
the playoff.
what we're trying to do, I can't build a parking lot that fits every size of every event. And so what we're trying to do is make it where at least the parking lot is open. And that way, for example, having a carnival out there during 2 back-to-back years of East playoff baseball has been very difficult for
I
us.
think that's what he was referring
Yeah.
to, was they had to
Yeah, that
bus people to the
that would
playoff
not
game.
be allowed. Okay, you would not be able to block that parking lot off for a carnival, for a food truck event, anything. You cannot block it off. Now, if somebody's using the special events area, they could, or anybody in the community, just like they can now. If Ash has got a game going on and it's against whoever, they're still parking. They're not reserving that parking lot for only patrons of the UHV game or the Generals or that. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it still creates a problem because even though the parking lot is open to the public, like you said, it is full before the people that come to the game. They still don't have parking because it's wide open.
If you go back to the sheet there that I've got for that staff is going to be working with as far as when a customer comes through, as far as the sizes of events, we are trying to steer events. What I'm making here is to steer the larger events to different areas of the community, and so that we're not congesting up that one area, because we do realize that we've got visitors coming into our town for both East playoffs games. We want them to be able to be as close as they can. Now, granted, when East plays West on a regular night, there's people parking all over the park. You know, it's just not, that's not a common occurrence all the time. Are we going to have issues with it? Possibly. But if we can stop the major issue where we don't have a parking lot at all, that solves a bunch.
But what I'm seeing is, because I get involved with a lot of those events that I've seen this problem when we have playoffs where there's no parking, simply because, like, for example, if they rent a special events area, they also use a lot of the parking lot for a car show, a motorcycle show.
That will not be allowed.
Okay.
Because that's
See, that
blocking the
needs to be
parking
clear,
lot.
because people that do those events, they assume that because they got the area, they can block those. And that's a good thing to mention and put it in writing that, sorry, nothing against your event, but this parking lot needs to be open for more parking and no shows, no motorcycles or cook-offs in those grounds. And another problem that's also there too, a lot of times they put a lot of the what do you call it, the outdoor restrooms,
Porta potties.
the potty pots. Yeah.
And Mike, I think we're on the same page. I think
Yeah.
maybe I explained it wrong, but we're on the exact same page as far as we're not allowing any of those types of events between baseball season, which
Right.
is, for us, runs February through August.
Because people always approach, why are they doing it? Why is it? I said, and that's a great idea. I mean, to me, that's a good plus for us, because of the fact that now they understand the fact that, no, you can't have a big car show there because we anticipate a playoff game.
Yeah, and and what my staff will do is you can have it, you're just going to have to come back in the fall. You know, we've got some time after August. Here's when you can schedule those types of events. You know, we're not saying that we don't want those events here. The Food Truck Festival was outstanding.
Yes.
We want that event to be there. We just can't. I can't tell East they can't play there for a playoff game or UHV or any of those teams. Hey, I'm sorry. You know, you got rained out the night before, but you can't play here because we've got something blocking the parking lot. And that's just the logic behind what I was looking at.
On that, just schedule it outside that window.
Exactly.
Through your February to August window.
And we've got also, I think, opening up the where the old Riverside Convention Center is. That gives a new area that can be gone. It's almost just like it. It's a flat area that's not going to get wet, that you can be at. That's different. You know, it's just like using the parking lot. You can rent that, and you can use a car show or whatever that may be during those time periods. You just can't rent the Riverside Stadium parking lot. Make sense? Okay, now we're going into what we're going to call the Red River Events Area, which is the old Riverside Convention Center. You can see this mirrors De Leon Plaza tremendously as far as the public, private, and private event with admissions. There are no restrictions as far as being closing off and charging to the public. This is where we are trying to steer, along with the community center, our larger festivals, our carnivals. You can have a carnival at this center. You can hold a carnival at the Victoria Community Center. That's where we're directing if someone wants to come have a carnival, or they want to have a festival. There's going to be a large amount of people. This is where we're trying to move them to, one of these two facilities. And you know, right away, I don't know that you're going to have a lot of improvements to this events area, but we will be making improvements through our budget and cycle and doing things as we can fit those in the budget cycle. No, it's not going to all be done by next summer, but we are making a conscious effort to create this event area in this manner. That's what our vision is for these larger types of events to be there. And so when we start putting infrastructure in, that's what we'll keep in mind.
Is that Red River area defined?
It will be once it becomes where it's rentable. Does that make sense?
Right, so it's not rentable now, is that right?
Not right now.
Okay.
I mean, if somebody came in right now, I could probably loosely use it as a special events area, but we're not ready for it right now. We still got some cleanup to do. We've still got some grading to do just to make sure that it's safe. So right now it's not, but it will be defined on our map. When my recreation coordinators get somebody coming in, they will be able to show them each area of what they're going to be renting. Make sense?
Yeah, is there a timeline on that, or do you know?
As far as getting it...
Or it'll be ready to rent?
How quick do you want me to take this to City Council? We'll have to go through the process with City Council. It'll take a first and second and third reading, and so a minimum of 2 meetings, and we're probably November before we'd be getting that to that. Would that be correct? Around that time period. One thing that we're looking at as far as festivals and where we're going is that at the community center we'll be looking at rooms that when you rent the community center for a festival, that you're going to have an outdoor carnival, you're going to have some music and things going on. We want to rent that and not have other people renting the facility, so we create conflict. And because if you have it, and a great example of that is when we had the Monster Truck Show and Comic-Con going on together. That was very difficult in a sense that you had 2 large groups using the same entrance, one making a lot of noise, and it was just very congested. And so what we're looking at is having a half-day rental so that we don't allow that. And you're going to pay half of the rental of the areas that you're not using. We'll close them off, block them off where no one else can get it. And that way you don't have another event coming up that you're competing against parking or noise. That if you want to rent the facility for a concert, you want to be able to turn the music up. But if someone else is wanting to rent it for another event, they may not want that music up. And so that's what our train of thought is on that side. That's all I've got, unless you've got any other questions.
You mentioned the monster truck and Comic-Con. Are there a lot of conflicts now, or are you just trying to avoid future ones?
Staff does a great job working through those. Sometimes it happens, and that's what we're trying to stop, because technically right now, if I rent the arena, the dome's still open for rental. And so what we're looking at is putting that half-day rental on there that you can rent those other ones. Now, if you're doing a carnival, you have to rent those other areas. That you can do them at a half price, but we had an event that went in that had a carnival going on, it had a concert going on, and the parking lot was just so packed that no other event could use parking, and it became an issue. And that's what we're trying to avoid, because we felt bad because the other areas were open and available, but the lady that was having a quinceañera, she didn't have parking, and so we were working through that, and it was very difficult. And both events are great events. We're just trying to avoid them overlapping each other in that manner.
I remember that event.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was very difficult.
It was horrible.
Yeah, and that's the key.
And I feel
of it.
sorry for your staff, because they got a lot of flack.
Sure.
They got a lot of criticism, and you can blame them. They were doing their best they could.
Sure.
But I was there, and to the fact that I know what you're talking about,
Right.
and it became a very nasty situation.
Yep.
Because the music in the arena was terribly loud, and you can hear the
reverb.
vibration.
Sure.
Yeah. So I know what you're talking about.
And that's just what we're trying to
Yeah,
avoid,
yeah.
so that we don't have those conflicts come up, and we can, a person renting the dome is spending quite a bit of money, and we want them to have a good event, and we want to make sure that we can eliminate the conflicts where we can see them come up.
So Colby, would you, if somebody wanted to rent the front room for coin collectors or something that wanted to be kind of quiet, then you would pay they'd have to pay half the dome rent?
If they want to rent an area and they don't want another person at that facility, but they're not going to use it, say that they were going to use the dome for a coin show, and they didn't want someone to come in and use the annex or use the arena to have an event there, they could rent that at half price. They would not get access to it. They would not be able to go in and use that facility in their show, but they would guarantee that no one else would be able to rent that facility.
Okay, but they'd be there. In other words, it wouldn't hurt your marketing of those smaller areas, would it?
No.
Because you're not insisting on that. You're saying, look, if you don't want us to rent something else, you can choose to keep them vacant, but this is what it's going to cost you.
Yes.
Okay.
What I'm hearing is that if I rent the dome and I don't want somebody else use the annex, I pay half the charge for the annex, but I cannot use it. Is that
That's
what
right.
Okay, that's clear. I'll share something with you in a minute.
Okay.
Any further questions for Colby?
One question, I guess. In terms of closing streets inside the, say, Riverside Park, that's that really hadn't, my experience has been that hadn't really been a parks issue, it's been a police department issue. Are we changing that?
No, that is, as far as if you're closing a street in a park, that goes to both myself and the police chief.
You get it too then?
Yes, we
Okay.
both approve off of those events. And normally it'll go through, if it's in a park, it'll go to me first and then over to the police chief to look at, to see if there's any issues going on and stuff of that nature. We have those, and be honest with you, the 5K runs that start at 7 in the morning are done by 9 o'clock. Those don't hurt us. Those aren't the bad ones. Those don't bother us. What we don't want is where people can't move around the park, and that's
Right.
what we're trying to avoid. Well, I'd like to take this to the council meeting in the next few months, and I'd like to be able to y'all give a blessing on that if you don't mind, or give me an idea of what you're looking at, whether you want to take that in a formal motion or to accept these changes. Or
All right, I'm going to move that Colby take this plan to city council, that it goes with the blessing and agreeance of this commission.
Second?
I'll second that.
First and second. All in favor of approving this proposal to go to city council, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say aye.
thank you, sir.
I think that pretty much does it for the agenda, unless there's anybody has anything else for the good of the order. I'll adjourn the meeting. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn, can we introduce our new members?
Oh. Up here.
Good call, Mike.
So we're going to have elections.
I'm Harold Hill. I work at the Firestone on the airline. I'm the service manager over there. And I was recommended by Coach Rivera. He used to be my coach back in the day when I was in school. Yeah. But yeah, I'm happy to be elected to be on the committee. I thank y'all.
Good.
Great.
Welcome.
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 I'm glad you accepted.
I'm Mark Trahan. I guess been with Bob White Rental for about 4 years now here in Victoria. So I'm happy to be on the commission, serve my duty, help Colby out or whatever needs to be done. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
That's us out.
So it's official.
Now it's official.
Who's the first?